This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. Wow. Hey, look at my new graphic down there for you guys. Now look it. That's what you guys need to do. Look at the subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, the bell, then all, and when you have that little look right there, that means you've subscribed and you'll get all notifications, apparently. Isn't that cool? I made that little movie for you guys, and then converted it to a file that has transparency. Then you can kind of see it. It's small, but see that little subscribe button, notification bell, then all. All right? Okay. All right. You know, you need something out there to a visualization. Now the notifications you have to turn on your app that you watch YouTube on. All right, so there you go. Yeah, hey, you know what's cool is, you know, the thoughts that I had last night on it was so amazing because, you know, 3 or 4 people that I watch and listen to in the media said exactly the same thing. And I was like, all right, because here the thing is, it's valid and true because it's literally what we feel. So the stuff I was telling you last night is reality. And it's amazing because you get these comments on last night's show that say stuff that are just so, you know, dismissive. You know, what they said was, no, those are just rioters of people who are sore losers. And that's not what it was about at all, okay? It has nothing to do with that at all, all right? There might be a couple people out there that are like that, but the whole movement in general, the people that were there, they felt marginalized and treated like crap for 4 years by the media and didn't trust the election results. Okay? And it's really interesting when you watch some of the footage. It looks like there was a whole bunch of people there that were just peacefully protesting, and they were even trying to keep the people that looked like they wanted to break through away. They were pushing them back, and then they stormed in. So I don't know what elements those people were. It's pretty bizarre. I think they were still, you know, part of they're just sort of like that radical end. You know, much like in the Antifa Black Lives Matter protests where they had the violent faction of it, of course, completely ignored by CNN and everybody else, and it was morally okay to loot and riot and burn down buildings. Okay, yeah, but it was cool to see somebody saying exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not really into the whole big, huge conspiracy angles. They're never proven, and then it wastes time. Oh, the girl with the brown hair. Yeah. And it was kind of sad because there was a new video of the girl who got shot, a better angle. You actually see the guy have his gun trained on her, and then he fires, and then the camera pans, and she falls down on the ground. It's pretty sad. So, how are you guys doing? Good? All right. Yeah. What I don't like is the dismissive attitude by people that are on the other side of what actually people feel. You know? I know, it's pretty... That's the part. And by the way, I don't know if you heard Biden's speech today. It was absolutely ludicrous. He's always talking about, we're going to bring everybody together. And it was the most divisive speech I've ever heard in my entire life. It was like the exact opposite of what you'd want to do to help bring people together. Disgusting. Jesus. Yeah, no, it's just horrendous what he put in there. You know, he was playing the race card again. He said, well, if those were BLM members, they all would have been shot. I mean, dude, are you trying to bring the country back together, or are you still playing the same crap over and over again? See, it's almost like he's just reading what the radicals want him to read. He's like a robot propped up to just read. Well, it looks like the Blazers might actually pull off a win here. Thank God. Now, you guys got to listen to what he said. It was absolutely disgusting. Biden, just... Man, he's trying to bring people together and puts out something like that. Phew, Jesus. Right. The thing that people don't seem to get right now is it used to be the country was like this. You know, everybody was kind of close. You know, it was sort of like this almost. You know, and you could have a president over here and over there, and everybody would sort of get along. And it wasn't that. Now it's like you can't even see my hands. We're all totally different. So the only way to bring us together is to somehow pull us all together into the middle somewhere. But it's not going to happen doing it that way. It's just, oh man, it's a total nightmare. All right. Anyways, I've got some. Somebody sent me a case earlier today, and I was looking at it, and it sounded pretty interesting. So I looked at it, and it seemed pretty interesting. Thanks, Chrissy.
Hola,
Oh God, it's. He always says it's time to heal. Well, you can't heal when you continually denigrate. He said everybody that was there were thugs and racist. Let me ask you guys something. What was racist about the riot yesterday? I mean, just alone from the riot. You don't like the riot. Where were the racists? What was the racist element of it? That's what he said. And so when you start saying that, that just means you haven't learned a goddamn thing, and you're going to keep doing the same thing. It's not going to change. Nothing's going to get better. It's going to get worse. Yeah, no, it's just, you guys got to, I hope people on the left understand what's going on here. There's a lot of misperception. Like even in the comments on the video I made it for, last night's show, I put it as a members only. You know, because you just never know who the hell's out there, you know. But it was just, you know, you have somebody commenting, Gray, I love your videos, but those were nothing more than sore losers. That's all they are, the Trump people. No, it's not that at all. I mean, it's so far away. That means you were absolutely blind to all of the information. You only saw one thing during those 4 years. Yeah. It's sad, actually. Well, it could get better if the rhetoric changed and the actions changed. Okay, but they're not doing that. They're trying to humiliate as many people that voted for Trump as possible, and that doesn't work. It never changes minds. Okay, it never changes minds. It actually makes people more angry Yeah. Yeah, he really damaged himself of how the things that went on yesterday, okay, and the time it took for him to, really, he did send in the National Guard and all that stuff, but he needed to be out there, literally, he would have been safe showing up and just said, well, I don't know how he would have done it or whatever, but just say something like, hey, you guys need to stop what you're doing and get out of here. I think that would have made a big difference. But instead, it turned out where today he finally said something. And that's what his problem is. It just didn't, a lot of people, they just love him so much they don't see the things that he does that are wrong. And I see the stuff that people don't like. But I voted for him because I like the things that he did and I agree with them. I agree with nothing that Biden talks about. So that's why I voted for him. Okay, so there you go. It was horribly damaging. Trump has no chance of ever being president again. Okay? It just isn't going to happen. Now, the only chance he does have of running again would be is if some people finally came forward and there really was some crazy voter fraud that was widespread and it was proven. Then it would be like, whoa, and then the sentiment would change immediately. I mean, it's funny. Even though the rioting still happened, it would definitely make people go, whoa, man, so he was actually trying to get something done that he knew was, that's the only chance he's got. Other than that, you can forget it. Okay. He might be, and I don't even know how he's going to help anybody. If you're in a state that has, like a purple state, he couldn't come in there and campaign for you because the ads about that would be just devastating. I don't know what you're talking about, political. You seem overboard a little bit. Yeah. All right. I just thought it was interesting. If you guys want, you should go on to watch Waters and then Gutfeld. They said it's almost like they watched my show and said the same thing. They're just a little bit more articulate about it because that's what they do. Okay, but it was literally the exact same thing. It was on the 5, so see if you can find that later if you want. But yeah, that's the part. It's the hypocrisy, Scott. That's the part that pisses people off the most. What does Italy have to do with anything? Nah, just I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Voter fraud in Italy? Okay. Yeah, it's going to be tough to have anything be unified whatsoever. They just don't get it. I mean, that's what I've been telling you guys. That's what I said yesterday on the show. That there were riots going on all summer. You can pull up the videos of Cuomo and Don Lemon saying, or Don Lemon, I guess, right? Saying stuff that were, like, they were laughing at there's no rioting here. And while the cities were burning to the ground, I mean, literally just being destroyed, they made light of it the whole time. Many people were killed. There was lots and lots of violence. And then you have this event. It's a little bit more like national security type stuff over there at the Capitol. But at the same time, it's the same thing. It's another demonstration that became violent. Okay, but now it's a big deal. And then they don't take any responsibility for what may have caused the sentiment behind what people were doing. It's so disturbing just watching people on those channels. They just don't get it. They're totally tone deaf. Oh, and Italy whistleblower, boy, yeah, that's gonna do it for us, everybody. Italy and the Vatican. Oh, come on, you guys.
Lead in the third quarter.
Yeah,
Russell had 15 points in that second quarter where they came back from 18 down, and Yusuf Nurkic storms the castle gates.
Wow. Hey, we can listen to the Blazers. I don't know where that's coming from. Oh. That was weird. I had no windows open that had that playing. Wait, look at us doing it again. Hold on. Okay,
Edwards intercepted by Dame. Dame ahead of Ernan Gomez puts it in.
Not there.
It can be Dame, one play, CJ to next. Blazers up one.
Wow, that's wild. All right, there. Okay. Something I had open from earlier. Yeah, but we won. Hey, there we go. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do these cases now. Yeah. I actually missed the last part of the game. Oh, and tomorrow night we're going to have on Colleen Fitzpatrick again. Okay, so we got to keep building up the monthly funds, because pretty soon here we're going to be putting some more money into the the pool for giving her to do the DNA research on the 1961 case. Okay, but she's coming on tomorrow at 6. So I'm going to create a post, and then I'm going to have you guys put in questions that you have, but I don't want any other banter and talking, and I just want the questions you want to ask, or what case that you want her to talk about. And you can go there by going to DNA Dope Project and see the ones that they solved, and maybe some of the earlier ones. I'm sure she was part of it, so you can ask about those if you want. All right. What was the name of the case from earlier? Oh, hold on, I'll just do it myself. Hey, thank you, Scott Holland and Kit Kat. Yep, Thirsty Thursday. There we go. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Elizabeth Capone. No, hi, bye, greetings, good night. Thank you.
Thirsty Thursday. Coffee, anyone? Coffee.
That's right, coffee. That's the wave sign. Give life a chanceus. Take the vaccine. Hey, thanks, Kate S. That's the same one that Claudia Neubauer would put in. All right, so they Mary Sue, somebody named Mary Sue, sent me an email about a case out of Canada from 1981, I think, and it was it actually ended up, it seemed like very similar to the case that I had you guys look up, and that was Margaret Ellen Fox. Had a little competition in there. Oh, everything went off the screen. Hold on. Thank you. Kate S. and Chad Bobinger. Do I say that right? Mm-hmm. Yes, everybody's heard of every case I've ever talked about. Yeah, this one is pretty interesting. Oh, is it really going? How much is gas over in California? Jeez. Alright. So here, this might take a while because all these articles are pretty long, but they're interesting. I couldn't find this house. I went up and down all the streets in this one town. So maybe they don't live right in town with everybody else, or maybe it's changed since then. I don't know. They didn't give out the ad. Maybe it'll pop up in one of these articles. Okay. I don't know what that means, Donna, what you just typed in. As someone who sees the double standard, let me give you my understanding. They attack the Capitol and the government as a so-called leftist I still find extremely offensive. Yeah, well, everybody here thinks it's offensive that they attack the Capitol. Okay, but we also found it offensive during the entire year where Antifa and Black Lives Matter radicals were rioting and looting. You know, their riots, although there were peaceful elements, there were rioting and there were elements that were destroying and very violent people, okay? So you need to call it out whenever it happens, no matter what. And the left only sees it when it's not on their side. They kind of try to, you know, carefully word things to not offend, and you know, that's the part that's bothersome to a lot of people. So I don't even understand what you wrote up there. You'll have to rewrite it. Made no sense. I mean, and they did it for months and months and caused millions and millions of dollars of damage and destroyed the lives of hundreds, if not thousands of people. Okay, and the media could not care any less. I mean, they were just literally, who cares? You know? And then you have this one event at the White House that lasted 90 minutes, and it was shitty and horrific. But why is that one so horrible compared to those other ones that happened every single day for months? In Portland, they stormed the actual Capitol building. I mean, not the Capitol, the Justice building downtown. Same thing. I don't have a clue what she wrote. You know, I tried reading it 3 times, and I still can't understand it. As someone who sees the double standard, let me give you my understanding. They attack the Capitol and the government as a so-called leftists, I still find extremely offensive. Right. So you find it very offensive that what happened yesterday. I get it. I don't understand, and if that is what you're saying, I don't really get it. All right, but I wanted to get going on the story here. You know, I thought you guys we were moving on. That doesn't make any sense no matter how I read that. I could read it 100 times and it's not going to make sense. Maybe that's what she meant, but it doesn't say that. I don't know what that means. Yeah. Thanks, Lee D. I always think that one's funny. I'm always wondering what that liquid is. Is that like cranberry juice in a coffee mug? Because it is sort of a maroonish red, right? Oh, it's blood. Wow. Okay. Yikes. Yeah, so maybe later somebody could break down the writing up above and explain it to me, but I'm going to move on now. Okay, so this girl is 15, missing, and this is an unsolved case still. Alberta, Canada, Calgary, April, I think it was April 22nd, 1981. This article's the 24th. And I think at this point she's just missing. What did I do today? I sat around and did research for these cases. And had the news on most of the day, just listening. Just some absolutely idiotic people talking a lot of times, and then some people that actually have wisdom talking. And so that's kind of what I did. What about you? Other than your doctoring. Thank you, Jay.
Huzzy, what did you do today?
Huzzy. That's funny. Yeah, I'm sure you have, Gene. How you went spearfishing? I've done that before. I had a wetsuit and then a 3-pronged Hawaiian sling, and it was pretty interesting. I did it in a lake, and I swam underneath these docks, and I was trying to spear like these big bass that you could never catch. That was when I was a kid. I'm not sure that was legal, but it was fun. Halibut. Oh, there's the troll. Yeah, she always shows up on all of my video. This idiot Kirsty Hopkins here, what she does is she'll create different profiles, the same name, and she'll show up everywhere making comments. Yeah, it is fun, isn't it? Yeah. So unfortunately, Kirsty Hopkins, you'll have to make another account. And then and by the way, your email that you sent, I didn't read it. And then I put you on, I don't get your emails anymore. Okay, you've been filtered out. So go ahead, create another account, start it again. It would be interesting though if you just changed your picture. I think that's the part that you keep forgetting to do. Yeah. Troll be gone. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and it wasn't that she didn't get a good enough bash in to waste it that quickly. He sat around bitching as he usually does, old Hughes. Yeah, so Listen, when nobody's around and nobody's looking, I'm sitting there bitching. I'm going, oh, ah, ooh. I'm bitching at the screen, even though there's nothing going on. Yeah. I think what it was a genuine moment of her self-reflection, putting it on somebody else. Yes, you too can buy Troll Be Gone for only $19.99. Yeah, staring at the camera. Yes, everybody, now hit that like button, all right? Now, let me go back to this again. Here's how you hit the subscribe right here. I've got it now on the screen. You hit subscribe. You need the notification bell to look like that, where it's grayed out. See, as soon as you click the all, it's grayed out with the 2 lines on the side. If it doesn't look like that by your subscribe button, you did it wrong. So you'll need to go back in, unsubscribe, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then all. All right? Okay, cool. And just when you thought that was it, if you call now, you can get a troll patch and another bottle. Yes, you will now be removed from this YouTube channel. That's right. You know what's funny? Whenever they say that, hey, it's only $19.99, and all you have to do is pay shipping and handling. And then you look at shipping, it's like $52, and the handling's $95. How about this? Don't wrap it, just throw it in the mailbox for me. Thank you. Just slap a label on it. Yeah, check the shipping costs out. It's hilarious. If you call now, you'll get a second New Wave oven for free. Just pay shipping and handling. And then you look at it, and that one was more expensive than the first one. Wow. Okay, you guys ready now? Here we go. This is the case of Kelly Jane Evelyn Cook, 1981, Calgary, Canada. It's actually a town called Standard. All right. Residents of this small, closely knit community were shocked Thursday when they learned of the mysterious overnight disappearance of a local 15-year-old girl. See, and this one's very similar to that case that I've lost the screen. What was her name again? Oh, wait, there it is. Margaret Ellen Fox. Mysterious overnight disappearance of a local 15-year-old girl. A Strathmore RCMP investigator believe Kelly Cook may have been the victim of foul play. The likable grade 10 high school student was last seen shortly after 8 p.m. Wednesday when a man who said he wanted her to babysit picked her up in a car in front of her parents' home here. So he drove, over, picked her up. Before leaving the house, Kelly informed her parents, Walter and Marion, that she would telephone them when she arrived at the man's house where she was to babysit. She hasn't been seen or heard from since. Nobody ever heard of him. This article's from 2 days after she went missing. Nobody ever heard of him. The name. So there was a name that was given. I think that's coming up. Nobody's ever heard of him, Strathmore RCM Sergeant John Kuselik said, of the man who picked her up. So where the hell did she go? Kuselik said the girl was to babysit until midnight, then he returned home, so she was supposed to babysit till midnight, then return home. Okay, and then he said the girl has no history of running away from home and had no reason to leave. A Calgary RCMP spokesman said officers are working on a composite drawing of the man who drove away with Kelly. So the parents were there. This is, it's in April, so I don't know. It's still somewhat light out at that time, I guess. I don't know, maybe not. But somehow the parents were able to see her, the guy that picked her up. He explained there are difficulties piecing together a picture of the man, and hypnosis may have to be used. Man, that's just the absolute last resort. Cindy Crabson, 16, Kelly's best friend, said Kelly would never run away from home, nor did she have a steady boyfriend. She's not the type that would just jump into things, Crabson said as she patiently waited for news outside the Cook home. Another friend, Signe Nielsen, said she was talking on the telephone to Kelly. So she was actually on the telephone with Kelly about a half hour before the man picked her up. She was asking if I had heard of a guy named Bill Christensen. That's the guy's name, Bill Christensen. And Nielsen replied that she hadn't. Kelly's distressed father told the Herald today, "We're just hoping for the best." Everybody was hoping there was a misinterpretation and that she would come home at midnight last night. But I guess there's no misinterpretation. Cook explained his family has suffered 2 other shocks this year when his brother died in January and his mother just 2 weeks ago. And now his daughter is missing. Man, what a nightmare. He said that his daughter, who frequently babysits, received a call Wednesday morning. So on Wednesday morning, she received a call from a man who identified himself as Christensen, asking if she could babysit that night. Cook said his daughter found nothing unusual about the man who called. Christensen, out here, the name, is like Smith and Jones in the city. So it must be a really common name out there. It's so sad, said Mary Rasmussen, a fellow student at Standard School. She was nice enough not to have any problems like just taking off with someone, she said. The news of Kelly's disappearance spread like wildfire through the farming community of 400 people, and that's what it really is, a tiny little town, about 80 kilometers east of Calgary. Police ordered many of the residents to remain tight-lipped about the incident while they continue their investigation. The town's pastor, who asked not to be identified, spent much of Thursday afternoon with Kelly's parents in their home. They're just sitting there trying not to think the worst, but obviously doing that. The pastor said, "This is pretty shocking. The people in this town really can't believe it." So this is when she's missing. And this is the town way up here in Calgary, Canada. Look at this, just totally random, tiny town. I mean, like if you're up in the sky here and you're zooming in, you don't even see any other towns that look anything like that as you zoom in. So that's it. So there you go, this little tiny town. I went up and down all the streets. I might have missed something, but I went up and down all these streets to try to find that house that was in the background because it was pretty identifiable. You have these little arches and whatnot, and I just couldn't find it. I spent like an hour, and then that was it. Wait a minute. No, I was bitching and complaining and looking at that for an hour. Yeah. All right, so this is on the, I don't know. Let me just read through the articles, and then we'll try to figure it out. Police still baffled by Kelly Cook case. Okay, so now we're in June. There wasn't much coverage at all after that first article, and then about 6 weeks later, Kelly Cook would probably be home with her family celebrating her 16th birthday today listen to this, if another Standard girl had taken a babysitting job from a man police believe abducted Kelly April 22nd. The other girl turned down the offer and referred the man to Kelly. So isn't that sad? I mean, either one of them would be dead, so it's not really sad. And this girl did nothing wrong, but it's weird how fate interjected here. So that girl said, "Oh, I can't do it," but gave the name to Kelly. Investigators believe the man who abducted Kelly had been gathering information on the other girl for 2 months before Kelly's disappearance. "We know of one other call," RCMP Inspector Len Jarrett said in an interview. He declined to elaborate. Jarrett said police are confident the man who identified himself to Kelly on the telephone as Bill Christensen is the same man who called the other girl and asked her to babysit 4 days before the Cook abduction. It's not the girl's fault. And you remember, see, in the other case, the Margaret Ellen Fox case, remember, she was actually at home and the guy called, and hell, even the parents. It was the same exact freaking story, right? I mean, it was crazy, except he said, "Hey, I can pick you up in this town." So she took a bus, and then he told her, "Oh yeah, I'm driving, I don't have the car that I was going to be driving." And that was my theory anyways. And then we've never seen her since then. She disappeared. So it's not the girl's fault, Walter Cook, Kelly's father said. If Kelly hasn't been able to babysit, she'd say phone, so Kelly is a victim. I don't know what that means. If Kelly hasn't been able to babysit, she'd say phone, so Kelly is a victim of circumstance. That's the actual lettering, and I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what they're trying to say, but the writing sucked. Jarrett said, had the other girl accepted the babysitting job, we might be looking for the other girl rather than Kelly Cook. Craig Green, the RCMP corporal in charge of the investigation, said the man who telephoned the other girl on April 18th, so that was just, 4 days prior, may have made the call from the Standard Hotel bar. Oh, wow. So let's see where that is. Hotel in Standard. Oh, there you go. That's still there. That's crazy. Okay, so there's the Standard Hotel bar. That's amazing. They actually have street view in this town. Standard Hotel. Interesting. So the person probably came into the town and started doing surveillance and shit. Man. Look at that. They still have payphones in Canada? Look at that. That's wild. When the man who called himself Bill Christensen telephoned Kelly, he told her he identified by name a neighbor who... When the man who called himself Bill Christensen telephoned Kelly, the missing girl, he told her he identified by name a neighbor. See, that's just horrible writing. I think it means to say Kelly... He told her he identified her by name. He identified by name a neighbor who lives across the street. So, anyways, he got her number from a neighbor of Kelly that lived across the street. And that's how he got a hold of her. It appears we're dealing with a man who has some knowledge of the Standard area. He said the girl who turned down the babysitting job is the key to solving the case. Police have questioned the girl on numerous occasions in an attempt to determine if she had ever been in contact with the suspect, but Green said she can't recall ever seeing or talking to the man before the telephone call. Yeah. Yeah, she keeps showing up, Zozo. So now she's blocked from email and here. So now she'll have to create another account and do the trolling again and make one comment, and then she's gone. All right, so far, it turns out where she had a babysitting job at 8 in the evening, and she was supposed to be home at midnight, and the guy picked her up and just honked the horn. I mean, man. I mean, I know it's different times, but man, wouldn't you as a parent? I mean, that is one time where I would say, if you don't know who somebody is, you need to have them come to the door or something, not just some random guy honking, it's a small town, so maybe it just seemed innocent. But that is one thing. That's one that I can't look at and go, oh, come on. It's a different time back then. All right. That's something that any parent would do, no matter what day or, So anyway, she went at 8. A guy named Christensen. I think, was it Bill Christensen? Let me see. Yeah, Bill Christensen. And he had called a neighbor across the street 4 days earlier, and that girl said, well, I can't do it. So she gave him the name of Kelly because she's a babysitter too. So then he calls Kelly up 4 days later and says, hey, and parents said okay because he didn't sound like to her that he was crazy. So he picked her up at 8, and she was supposed to call right when she got there. And she never called at all, and she disappeared forever. Nobody's seen her since then. And then you know that Bill Christensen was totally a fake name. All right, then here we go. This is on the 30th, just 2 weeks after that last article. Kelly Cook's body found in a canal. The body of a girl found in an irrigation canal near Tabor Sunday has been identified as that of 15-year-old Kelly Cook, abducted from her standard home more than 2 months ago. Lethbridge RCMP, well, it wasn't more than 2 months. Well, yeah, it was. It was the 22nd of April. This is the 30th. Lethbridge RCMP Constable Vern Mayers said Monday night that the positive identification of the girl had been made from a comparison of dental charts by a dental surgeon. The chief coroner in Calgary will conduct an autopsy on the body today to determine the cause and approximate time of death. Strathmore RCMP Corporal Craig Green said Monday the discovery of Cook's body is the first piece of physical evidence police have found in their investigation. Mayor said Lethbridge RCMP would start a murder investigation in connection with the girl's abduction. She vanished from her standard home about 80 kilometers east of Calgary, April 22nd. So it's kind of interesting that phone call came from the hotel. So you kind of figure he obviously doesn't live right around there, but knows the town. Maybe he lived there at some point. It's a little bit, a little Delphi-ish, like he kind of worked out a trap here for this girl. And then he put her body 80 miles away, but that might mean that he lived closer than 80 miles, that he wanted to put the body outside the range where he lived to throw people off, make it look like he was heading somewhere else. The chief coroner in Calgary will conduct an autopsy on the body today to determine the cause and approximate time of death. Strathmore RCMP Corporal Craig Green said Monday the discovery of Cook's body is the first piece of physical evidence. Okay. 1 week after Cook disappeared, she became the subject of a massive search by more than 600 area residents that first spanned southern Alberta and then across the continent. Cook was last seen when a man who had asked her to babysit for him picked her up in front of her home. The badly decomposed body was found on the north shore of Chin Lake, about 16 kilometers south of Tabor. Okay, so let's see. The north shore of Chin Lake. Let me see if that makes sense. So this is where her body was found, in this reservoir right here. So when you say North Shore, I mean, North Shore could be any part of the shore along the reservoir. I mean, either way, I have a feeling it's going to be close to a road. So it's either going to be right on this, that must be like a dam there, near there, or near this road right here. That one actually seems more likely. I'm going to move my guess and put this somewhere around in this area. Because, you know, the person would just drive and probably threw her body into the water. It'd be tough to even get to the water in some of these other places, but maybe, you know. The body was found by citizens out motorcycling about 180 meters east of... Oh, there we go. Now we can do it. East of the Chin Bridge. Alright, here we go. Where's the Chin Bridge? Chin Bridge. Hey, thanks, Jessica Schubach. Let's see if I get this right. Chin Bridge. In Tabor, Canada? I don't know. Let's see what it says down here. That's Chin Reservoir. It's really cool out here. Alberta looks like a really neat place to live. Looks like Central Oregon, kind of. You know, it's really deserty, plateaus.
Looks like a boom to me.
That's right. Could be a boom. We'll see. Oh, shit. What happened? What's going on? Google Earth, you're all over the place. Alright. There's a sign right there. Let's see if it has a name. That's gotta be the bridge. Here. Huh. I mean, that's really the only bridge that crosses it. Right? I mean, the other one's a dam, so... Oh, let's see, is that another one? Well, that's the other road, but I didn't think... That doesn't look like a bridge. That's a dam right there. Yeah, so there's no other bridges. That's a dam. And so that is gotta be it. I mean, that's the only thing that makes any sense. So let's see it again. Body was found by citizens out motorcycling about 180 meters east of the Chin Bridge around 4 p.m. So when they say east, somewhere down just probably down in there. Let me just measure 400 yards. No, 180 meters, excuse me. There's the bridge. And then there's 180 meters. Hey, thanks, Lee D. There you go. So that was pretty close. It was a good guess, right? It makes sense because people they're not going to be driving. The person probably dumped their body into the water. Let me just see what direction the flow is here. So the dam actually goes the water flows west. So that's a little interesting there, but it could be that, I don't know what it looks like. Let me check something out. He might have pulled down knowing that he was about to go over the water, perhaps drove down. Maybe there's something that you could pull off to the side here. I don't know. Let's see. I just want to see if it looks like something. If you wanted to, you could pull over here and maybe... It makes more sense to dump her in the water, but if she's 400 yards east of the bridge. Now, I guess it would matter, though. What if it was on this side, though? Then, I guess it's still east, but I guess if you're looking at it like this, and you say east, well, no, that's never going to be that way. It's always going to be, the east is always this way. Yeah, that's interesting, because the water flows this direction, like that. So, who knows? Maybe the person, maybe here it is right here. So it was 2 months earlier, they drove down this little road right here, pulled into here, dumped their body in the water, and then they took off, and then over time, she floated down that direction. Does that make sense? I think it does. I don't know how they would have got there, though. Is there a way to... Does it head off from here? Can you... I guess, I don't know. Looks like there's a fence. Well, this is, we're talking 40 years ago. I don't know what it looked like. 2003. Or maybe they just know the area and they came down here first, dumped the body, then came back and then got on the freeway and left. That way, because there's really no way, this must have been absolutely isolated back in here, because when you have to know about driving like this and around and then over maybe down in this area, threw a body in the water, then drive out, back, around, and gone, and almost nobody would know about that unless you lived in the area. So anyway, that would be a theory that I would throw in there. So Chin Lake is a natural reservoir for an irrigation system about 50 kilometers east of Lethbridge. An increased demand for water last week caused the level of the reservoir to drop substantially, exposing the body. And there you go. So she was probably dumped near the shore, but it seemed deep. Then the water levels dropped dramatically. We could only identify her through one source, the dental charts. Green said they hoped to corroborate the dental identification by comparing x-rays of the body with x-rays of the girl that are already in RCMP possession. Hey, thanks, Zozo! Residents of Standard, a tightly knit farming community, have set up a $40,000 reward. Man, that's pretty amazing. It's huge for back then. I mean, police believe the man who identified himself to Cook as Bill Christensen had been gathering information on another Standard girl. It is believed the man had phoned the other girl from the Standard Hotel bar 4 days prior to Cook's abduction, asking her to babysit for him, but she refused. When he didn't they ever figure out? Let's see, where he called from when he called her. When he asked her if she could recommend any other babysitters, he was given Cook's name. The man, that's just a total opportunistic psycho. Good night, Jamie McLaughlin. Hope everything's going well for you, or as good as things can go. When he asked her if she could recommend another babysitter, he was given Cook's name. The man is described as being in his mid-30s or 40s and about 5'10". He has a stocky built, dark hair and eyebrows, and abrupt mannerisms. Kind of sounds like the girl in the, or the killer in the, shit, can't remember it.
Night all.
Good night. Let's see, I got it. Leota Camp is what I was thinking. Sounds like the Leota Camp person. Remember, he was about that height, stockily built. At the time, he was like 20. He wears sunglasses, which he occasionally props up on his head. Well, how do you know? How do you know that kind of stuff? How do you know he wears sunglasses that he occasionally props up on his head? When not using them, and was last seen wearing casual clothing and a sports-type team jacket with crest. So when he pulls up, I'm sure he had his glasses on. So how would anybody know that he occasionally... Maybe they asked people at the hotel. Okay. And then here is it's kind of a big one, so this is from, the last article was June 30th, 1981, and then this one's October 2nd, 1981. I hope it helps both the investigation and in making people aware of the dangers which exist. That from Calgary filmmaker John Mitchell, who has produced a half-hour docudrama, Who Killed Kelly Cook, which will air on CFAC TV. Kelly Cook, a 15-year-old standard Alta girl, disappeared last April when she was lured from the safety of her home by the offer of a babysitting job, one which didn't exist. An intensive search was mounted by police, local townspeople, and the range patrol and met with little success. Kelly's body was discovered by motorcyclists in the irrigation lake in southern Alberta some 2 months after her disappearance. The killer is still at large, and it is Mitchell's hope that the film may jog the memory of a viewer who has some information on the case. Well, I guess that's the sketch right there. You know, there's a reason he wore his glasses. The RCMP agree with Mitchell and will be manning phone lines during and after the special to take calls from viewers who think they may know something in relation to the kidnapper murder. The film picks up the story several days before Kelly's abduction with a scene of they put an extra A in there. One of Kelly's friends receiving a phone call from a male caller who asks if she would babysit for him. She declines, but recommends 2 of her friends to the mom. The man, excuse me. He recommends 2 of her friends. Wow, so that was just pure, another bad luck scenario where He just happened to pick her, but then he would have killed the other person. But maybe the other person's parents wouldn't have let. I don't know how that. Yeah. The next scenario finds that same man entering the standard hotel bar and placing a local call. He buys a case of beer and leaves. Scenario 3 finds the man entering the co-op in standard and asking the clerk for the cook's address. 2 days later, the man enters a service station 22 kilometers from standard and places the wow, that's crazy. So he called from 22 miles away. He called from a payphone. We hear the man's end of the conversation. The next evening, the man pulls up to the cook's residence and Kelly gets into the car. That is the last time Kelly was seen alive. So they're saying 22 kilometers. Is that what the... Okay. So it's inside of this circle. There we go. This rock, maybe Rockford up here. So let's see. Let me get to the right. So if this ends up being about 8 miles or 9, it's probably going to be, because this is how you have to do it. You have to go like this, and then, okay, so that's 17 kilometers. All right, but let's see what happens if we do it like this. So from here, you'd have to do something like, well, let's just generally go like that, and like this, and then like that. And that turns out to be 16 kilometers. Yeah, so they're saying a service station 22 kilometers. It's 22 out. How could that have only been... It doesn't make any sense. So if you go from here to here, that's 17. I don't get why that just did that. That didn't make any sense. Let me do that again. So if you're right here... Oh, I had it on miles, sorry. Kilometers. Boom. Boom. Okay, 24.6. That sounds like a pretty good chance that that's the town. Right? I mean, how many other towns? I mean, there's that town. How about gas stations within 30 miles of Standard, Calgary, Canada? No, I didn't do that right. Well, you got those. Yeah, so there are gas stations in that town. I'm gonna go. That's what I think. I bet you he was in Rockford. That's my guess. because it's 24 kilometers the way I did it. Maybe he had a little bit better of a shortcut that he could take. I don't know. But it's 24 driving, 17 as the crow flies. And it's interesting if it's up here, because then you're... Yeah, I mean, shit, there could be one. Who knows? That's just my guess. Oh, boy. Anyways. Let me get back to this. So this is the retelling of it. From there, the story centers on the Cooks reporting the crime and efforts made by police and citizens. All of the above is done without showing Kelly or the killer. When the killer does appear on camera, he is shown from the back or by shoes entering the picture. This is so that people won't have a preconceived idea of the killer, which may have them think their information isn't important. It isn't designed to frighten the viewer. It's really to educate the viewer. All right, let me go to the next. Oh, that was it. Watch it on Monday night. All right, now I'm going to move forward. This is almost a year after she initially went missing. This next one. Come on. There we go. Yes, everybody, just pretend I am a cup of coffee, all right? We got to keep on trucking. I know that what's weird for me is last night we were talking about politics and had the best donation night for a long time, and I'm trying to figure out, wow, is that more what you guys want me to be doing? Because I want to do true crime. So it made me feel kind of weird, you know, because there's nights where I spend 8 hours looking up the information to cover, and it's a night like tonight. And then there's nights like last night where I didn't really have anything to talk about other than play the video, and you know, so it was kind of strange for me. Yeah, well, I don't really want to do that either, because it's totally outside of what I want to be doing. It's just a coincidence? I don't know. I don't know about that. I think people were more excited about it. That's the thing, is it seems like that's why a lot of times on the drama places, people, yeah, and they get really excited. Well, I'm not talking about, you know, you don't have to explain your own personal thing. I'm just talking about in general. Yeah, well, there's another case that's exactly like it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I had a contest. Margaret Ellen Fox is a case that is almost exactly the same. Let's see. Here, I'll just do the Wikipedia version. It's right here. I've got a whole folder built on it. But on June 24th, 1974, Margaret Ellen Fox had plans to meet with a man who called himself John Marshall. I mean, here we go. It even has the same sort of story, right? You want me to run for president? All right. Called himself John Marshall in regards to a babysitting job. Marshall had responded to an advertisement. So she actually put her ad out for, you know, to be a babysitter. She had placed for her services and stated he needed a babysitter the following weekend. but postponed the first several meetings with her. He finally said that he would meet her in a red Volkswagen. Fox took a bus to get to Mount Holly. Her younger sister accompanied.
But we want you to run for President Gray.
Well, thank you. Well, I don't know if I will. I'm just kidding. I'm not running for president. Thanks, Rebecca N. as well. Because you're not talking about... Okay, good. That's actually kind of funny.
Because you're not talking about politics. LOL.
Oh, you saw the same... Oh, I'm only doing this episode tonight because somebody suggested it to me in an email today. I don't watch other channels, Donna, so I don't know. If somebody else covered it, maybe that's why somebody sent it to me. I've never heard of it, so it's always interesting for me to look it up. So... Yeah, it's weird how people like to come in and, you know, pump up other channels. They do it all the time. Okay, so anyways, doesn't this sound so similar? I mean, everything that I just read, isn't that almost identical? Other than that she's the one that advertised herself. But postponed. So the guy that she called even had another fake name, John Marshall. In regards to a babysitting job, he postponed the first several meetings. He finally said that he would meet her in a red Volkswagen. Fox took a bus, and I think what it is so Fox took a bus to get to Mount Holly. Her younger sister accompanied her to the bus stop and saw her board the bus. Witnesses reported seeing Fox near Mill and High Streets after she reached Mount Holly, and then she's not been seen since. So what I think is it wasn't a red Volkswagen. I think what he did was he said he had a red Volkswagen, and then he made up an excuse when he saw her because he knows what he's looking for. And then he says, hey, I know I said red Volkswagen, but this is it. And that way it throws off the entire investigation because everybody's still talking about the red Volkswagen. I guarantee it there was not a red Volkswagen. See, that's what I'm talking about. I guarantee it, there was no red Volkswagen in this case. I think that he probably never had a red vehicle whatsoever in this case. So, anyways, this one seemed so similar to me. It's okay, Donna. Don't worry. Just people do that all the time. Hey, check out this video on... It will be a year... let's see, where were we at here? Police seek Kelly Mourner. Let's see what they're saying here. Puzzled Calgary RCMP have revealed some startling information in their investigation to track down Kelly Cook's killer. RCMP Inspector George Fallon says investigators want to speak with a man who visited a Calgary funeral parlor last July where Cook's body was being held after an autopsy before it was shipped to Standard. Fallon told the Herald that the man walked into the funeral home during the early evening of July 2nd, claiming to be a friend of Cook's family, and requested to view the body. He was told he could not, and he left. That's interesting. Why the hell would somebody do that? Sounds like the killer trying to... Jeez. The Cook family has told police they were unaware of any friends of theirs who had tried to view the body in the Calgary funeral home. Why would a friend want to view it, though? Nor was it public knowledge that the body was in the funeral home. Well, that's even more interesting. Although, when the body was found, it made it to the paper, and then that would sort of make somebody call around, We would like to know if somebody actually did that as a mourner or what. He described the man as being in his mid to late 30s, there you go, about 5'11", which is similar, and 165 to 170 pounds. He was heavy set. The other one was that he was stocky, so that could be the same thing, and had dark complexion. That, what's funny is that matches that other case almost perfectly. The one I mentioned a few minutes ago. God, my memory's just shot. There's too much stuff in my brain. Yeah, in the Leota Camp case, right? The Leota Camp case, where the guy walked into the house. This guy sounds exactly the same. Remember that? It was dark hair, had a good suntan going, about 5'10". Even though it's nowhere near here, I'm just saying, it sounded just like that. I think it was Iowa in that one. But interestingly, in the Iowa case with Leota Camp, remember there was a phone call made to the house. It was a prank phone call. Although these don't have pranks, but again, we have a phone being used. I don't think it's related, but it just sounded like exactly the same description. He described the man as being okay. It will be a year on April 22nd that the 15-year-old girl was abducted from in front of her parents' standard home. Well, she willingly got into the car. We don't know when the actual... at that moment she's being abducted, but she doesn't know it yet. There are few outward signs of the tragedy in Standard now, aside from a few reward posters. People are getting kind of discouraged, said Mayor Elmer Jensen. Fallon also revealed that police want to track down a man who made the occasional regular visit to the Standard Hotel bar for a game of pool prior to Cook's abduction. Fallon said the man appeared at the bar maybe a half a dozen times every 5 weeks or so and played a few games of pool. He said the man, who apparently never gave anybody his name, and who I haven't read it yet, but I bet you he hasn't been seen since that time period. Apparently never gave anybody his name, and who appeared to avoid conversation, would shoot a few games of pool with the barmaid, drink a couple of beers, and leave. He seemed to avoid conversation over who he was and where he was from, Fallon said in an interview. Fallon said the pool player is virtually the only known person believed to have been in the Standard area prior to Cook's abduction who hasn't been accounted for. The man is described, again, being in his late 30s, 5 feet 10 inches tall and about 165 pounds. He was clean-shaven and wore dark sunglasses. So I think they think that that's the guy. Fallon said investigators haven't eliminated the possibility that both the man who visited the funeral home and the pool player are the same person. Both descriptions, in fact, bear a close resemblance to the composite sketch police had drawn up of Cook's killer shortly after she disappeared. Well, there you go. Both these things are puzzling us, and we'd like to have it clarified. He said there may be some legitimate person who fits into the circumstances, and police are hoping the man or men will contact them if in fact they are legitimate. So you don't want them to contact you if they're not legitimate? Last June 28th, Cook's badly decomposed rope bound. Listen to this. It's the description. A badly decomposed, roped bound, and weighted body. So now that's a little bit like Tina Losser at that point. Rope bound and weighted body was discovered in Chin Lake, about 170 kilometers southeast of her home. The girl had been abducted from her home after she agreed to accept a babysitting job from a man who called her earlier in the day. Fallon said investigators still don't have any concrete leads in their search for her killer, but the investigation is far from being over. We have eliminated over 1,000 suspects, and we're still working full-time on the investigation. Fallon, who is overseeing the investigation, admitted it's one of the most frustrating he's ever been involved in. There's still a possibility that whoever killed Kelly Cook is in prison or is dead. Well, just a year later, you're going to already use that one? He said such a murderer would fall into the suicide category. Why? I don't agree with that at all. What do you mean? These guys are just sick killers, you know. What do you mean if he falls into the suicide category? Now, if you believe he was the one that went back to the funeral home, then maybe, because maybe he had some remorse. But I don't agree with that. Just to say he fits into the suicide category. These guys are just killers, you know. He seems like they're making excuses why, you know. Oh, okay, well he's dead. That's probably why we have it. That doesn't make any sense to me. All right, this is another article 4 years later, 1986. Let's see if they have anything new here. Photographer stands alone in the middle of the main street of this small town, peering through the camera when 4 curious teenage girls approach him. "Why are you taking pictures of downtown Standard?" asks one of the puzzled teens. "Nothing ever happens here. I'm here because of what happened 5 years ago," the photographer replies. The girls' heads bow, and almost in unison, an "oh" sound creeps from their lips. "Well, nothing ever happened since," another offers. Everyone, even these girls, who would have been 9 or 10 years old at the time, remember the tragedy that jolted Standard since then. Little else has changed in the community. The residents work hard in the fields, and 260 students attend the local school. The arena and curling rink, which everyone worked shoulder to shoulder to build, are beehives of activity during the evenings and weekends. People stop in for a beer and chat at the old Standard Hotel Tavern, and the drop-in center is alive with senior socializing or playing cards. What once could best be described as sheer anger among the 380 residents that the killer of 15-year-old Kelly Cook has continued to elude police has over the years been reduced to bitter disappointment. 5 years ago, on April 22nd, a man lured away one of this town's own on the pretense of needing a babysitter. What happened to the grade 10 student after that is unclear. But 2 months later, on June 28th, a youth riding his motorcycle along the north shore of Chin Lakes, south of Tabor, discovered a fully clothed body. The police, the water line of the irrigation canal was about 3 meters from the body. Oh wow, so that means it really dropped. She was weighted down, and the water dropped, and she was still right where she was when the person put her in the water. Jeez. The level had dropped over a period of time, exposing the corpse. Kelly Cook's badly decomposed body was rope-bound and anchored by concrete blocks Investigators still say no comment when asked if she had been sexually assaulted. Over the years, the murder investigation by Calgary RCMP officers has taken numerous bizarre twists and turns. The investigation has been filled with with mystery from the start, and police suspect the killer's plan was hatched several weeks before Kelly was abducted. Investigators have trailed many leads which appeared promising, but as soon as a lead was chased down, the RCMP found themselves at another dead end. Calgary RCMP Sergeant Earl Peters has been in charge of the murder investigation almost from the start. As far as he's concerned, Kelly's killer could be dead, he could be in prison, or he could still be with us. I think he's, I think he was still alive. I think the suicide thing is a little out there. I mean, it's possible, sure. A reward fund that started with town residents digging into their own pockets has grown to $56,000. Mayor Elmer Jensen is one who still remains optimistic that one day an arrest will be made. The police will be back on April 22nd, Jensen says. They're here every year in case the killer returns. Well, that's great that you put it in the paper. It's fantastic. Oh, there goes my stomach. While town residents are disappointed the case remains unsolved, they are not critical of police. Most say the police have done everything they can. For the Cook family, like able, ordinary, private people, the nightmare continues to drag on with no end in sight. Walter Cook, who works at a fertilizer plant in Carseland and Marion, a housewife, keep much to themselves. They're still hurting really bad. After 5 years and with the police no closer to nabbing a suspect, Walter and Marion are left with an empty, helpless feeling. To us, there has to be an end to all of this, Walter says in the kitchen. There aren't too many days in your life that you don't think about this one way or another. I don't know who this is. So they did a lot of covering of this. There just seems to be very small piece out of the puzzle. Whenever Walter and Marion and their 2 other children hear news of another girl who is missing, it brings it closer to home. Like relatives of most other murder victims, Walter and Marion talk about the need for capital punishment. Yep, Kelly's body rests in the small standard cemetery just outside of the town site. The tragic story actually began to unfold in March 1981 when a man telephoned the principal of the school. Oh, so now we got more information. A man telephoned the principal of the school requesting information about a particular student, not Kelly. When the principal refused to comply, the man hung up. On April 18th, 4 days before the abduction, a local 17-year-old girl received a call from a man identifying himself as Bill Christensen. He asked her if she could babysit. The girl said she couldn't, but gave him names of 2 other girls, Kelly and another friend. At 8:20 a.m. on April 22nd, the telephone rang in the Cook house. Kelly answered, but nobody was there. 5 minutes later, the phone rang a second time, and it was Bill Christensen asking her to babysit that night. After checking, Kelly's mother said it would be all right. The name Christensen is a common one in Standard. So the guy even thought of that, Police suspect the first call to Kelly was made from the country telephone booth outside the Shell service. Okay, let's see where that is. Oh, jeez. Maybe that's it right there. I don't know. Maybe it's not a... Yeah, that doesn't look like a... They've got to have just a standard gas station in here. This has a lot more information on it. Man. Standard AB Canada. Or they call them service stations there? What do they call them in Canada? No, it's not servo in Canada. Let's see. Gas station. Standard. Rang its second time, and it was Bill Christensen asking her to babysit. After checking, Kelly's mother said it would be okay. Police suspect the first call to Kelly was made from the country telephone booth outside the Shell service station, several kilometers outside of the town. What does that mean, country telephone booth? It's probably down this road here. Shit. Nah, this guy's crazy. And this is a weird one. Anyways, police suspect the first call to Kelly was made from the country telephone booth outside the Shell service station several kilometers outside of town. The phone works by inserting a quarter after the person being phoned answers. The police speculate that the man didn't know how it worked and then walked inside the service station. On the way inside, he asked a trucker if he could use the office phone. The trucker suggested he asked the service station owner. See, not servo. Police have since hypnotized the trucker and the service station owner, who actually overheard parts of the phone conversation in an attempt to come up with a better description of the man. At 8:30 that evening, a car pulled in front of Kelly's house. Her mother asked Kelly to phone when she reached her destination and watched through the window as Kelly got into the car. The call never came. So she was supposed to call, but she never called. Word filtered through the community within hours of Kelly's disappearance. The RCMP immediately launched an abduction investigation, not a missing person or runaway report, as is usually the case. 4 days following her disappearance, more than 40 police officers and 600 people on foot, horseback, and airplanes scoured the prairie for clues to Kelly's whereabouts. Several days later, the search was called off. Scores of reporters, photographers, and cameramen parachuted into the town in pursuit of stories and pictures. A strange twist in the investigation came in July 1981. Kelly's body was in a Calgary funeral home following an autopsy, and before it was returned to Standard for the funeral at 7:30 that night, an unknown man went to the funeral home and insisted on viewing the body. Attendants turned him away. Police still haven't been able to determine whether the man was for a killer. The abduction of Kelly and her subsequent murder was devastating to the community. This is a community where an unfamiliar face brings curious looks. I suppose as long as he's not caught, there will be no ending to this. Yeah. Okay, and then this was the parents right here. Yeah, Walter and Marion Cook. It just must be a nightmare for them. You can just see the look on their face. Oh wait, let me just say it like a robot. I didn't have enough emotion right there. I'm just saying, I think it sucks. Okay, I'm sorry that I don't cry as much as other YouTubers. You know, I stare into the camera and pretend that they're really upset. I feel bad for them. You can see the look on their face. Okay. All right, so 1989. Two months after she was picked up at her standard home by a man who had asked her to babysit, Kelly Cook's fully clothed, rope-bound body was spotted in Chin Lakes. Police are no closer today to solving the case than they were April 22nd, 1981. Kelly received a telephone call before school from a man who identified himself as Bill Christensen. He asked whether she could babysit. The Cook family did not know a Bill Christensen, but because of Christensen's name was familiar in the Standard area, her parents allowed her to go. The man picked her up at her home at 8:30 p.m. that evening. Kelly's mother watched her daughter get into the car but couldn't describe the driver. An autopsy revealed Kelly died of asphyxiation, so this is new information. She had not been sexually assaulted, leaving police baffled. How would you really know that, though? I mean, if you're underwater for 2 months, you might be missing something. Leaving police baffled about the motive for her slaying. A reward fund for finding the killer has grown to $56,000. Dozens of investigators have trailed countless leads. Police don't know if a man turned away from the funeral home July 2nd was a mourner. Okay, there we go. And what else we got? So this is 2001 now. Huh. Let me see if I can even get that look that they've got there. Right there. 840. This might be this might be mildly right here in a second. Let's see. I think I can almost see that building right there. See this one right there? Can you guys make that one out? This thing over here? That sort of looks like this right there. Okay, so let's see if that comes to fruition as we come in closer to that. Yep, pretty sure that's it. Yep. Oh, then you can even that building is right there. Okay, so I guess it's weird though. It looks like it kind of slopes down and in, but it doesn't do that on the picture. But it's got to be the same place. Weird. I wonder if that picture was just taken from way back there. You know, I bet it was. I think this bush back there is this bush right here, just from looking behind it, and it's got one of those telephoto lenses where things look closer, but they're really, really, really far away. Yeah. And then from up there, the whole road probably looked more like it arched a little bit. I don't even know where I am. There it is. Yeah, okay. Well, here's the picture here. Let's see what they've got new in 2001. Yeah. I think it's just more like how things have been. Yeah, I guess she would have been 36 years old in 2001, so that'd make her about 50 something right now. 56. Alright. And then looking this up, I found this article where it lists a whole bunch of other people that are missing sort of in the area, and there she is right there, Kelly Cook on the right. And then I was reading, I just kind of glanced over at one. I think it was this Barbara McLean over here. Now listen to this one. Does this sound familiar to you guys? In the dead of night, February 26, 1977, 19-year-old Barbara McLean argued with her boyfriend and decided to hitchhike home. It was a fatal decision. The next man she met was a killer. A man RCMP believed murdered 20-year-old Melissa Ann Rierick, so another person. The following morning, a man walking his dog discovered Barbara's fully clothed, strangled body beside a gravel road near 80th Avenue and 6th Street. Police traced her movements the night before the Highland... Listen how similar this sounds to that other story, right? It's ridiculous, all right? And when I say other story, I mean the Lisa Holstead case. Police traced her movements the night before the Highlander Hotel Tavern, where she and her boyfriend argued. The other case, she was in a car. But anyways, they were out drinking. Same freaking story. They were arguing, and after closing time, and the pair split. Somewhat inebriated, just like in the other case, she got a ride with an unknown person. And that's exactly how... And that just shows you that there's these freaking predators just driving around at night. You guys remember that other case, right? The Lisa Holstead case where she was with her boyfriend and they were out drinking. They got in an argument and she goes, "I'm getting out of the car." That's the one I use as an example of, I don't care if somebody asks, if you're a guy and your girl and it's late and your girlfriend or your wife or whatever, your significant other, or even a friend, and you're getting a big argument in your car, do not let them out of their car so they can just start walking alone, okay? It's just a huge drama play on their part. They really want you to drive away and then come back and say, "Can you please get in?" All right? That's what the reality of it is, okay? So, it has nothing to do with Zach Barnes. Can you quit bringing up Zach Barnes, please? It's really disruptive. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the Halstead case. Was she was out, they were driving, they went to the family's house, and then they went out to bars and drank, and Then they were driving home, and she was drunk, so she goes, I want to get out of the car, and he looked like a great suspect, because they got in a fight. But it turns out she was killed. They actually found, that case is solved, they found the killer. It's just so similar sounding. Right? So let me, police traced her movements that night before to the Highlander Hotel Tavern, where she and her boyfriend argued after closing time, and the pair split. Someone inebriated, she got a ride with an unknown person. Barbara left her home in the small community of Inverness. She was seeking independence in Calgary, says her father, Dr. Jim McLean, a semi-retired physician. When she first arrived in the city in October, she landed a job as a hat check girl at the Scotch and Sirloin restaurant. 2 months later, she began work at the Hollister Square brand. Anyways, I just thought it sounded really similar. Yeah, it's not related, Zozo. It's not related at all. So can we? Well, I don't want you to talk about that case anyways, because it's not interesting, and we're talking about this case right now. The whole Zach Barnes just obsession is a little overboard sometimes. Okay, yeah, it's not similar whatsoever. Yeah. There was a lot of drugs involved, and he just left on his own. He got the hell out of there. All right, anyways, there we go. That is that case. I think there's one more. There's like a link that was associated with it. Right here. Babysitter lured to her death. So this article's from, it's called, I don't know what, when this says medium.com, I'm hoping it's not like a psychic channel. I don't think it is. I guess this is the official sketch right here. 5'10", 180 pounds, swarthy appearance, very weather-beaten face and hands, not an attractive face, blue windbreaker jacket. Oh my God, the bridge guy. Look at, he's even got, oh wow, so that hair wasn't really one of those golf hats, it was the hair. Blue windbreaker jacket, blue trousers, short dark, not black hair, some covers ears, nose, and heavy bridge, however doesn't appear broken. No sideburns, clean shaven, face round rather than long. All right. Okay, at 8:30 p.m., a full-size cream-colored, so now they got a car description, North American car pulled up to Kelly's house and honked. Her mother watched as she got into the front passenger seat and the car drove away. Every time Kelly babysat, she would call her family when she arrived at the person's house. By midnight, she hadn't called or returned home, so her mother called the RCMP. Every house in the village was searched, including abandoned buildings, but no evidence was found. Authorities contacted every Christensen family in town, but none of them have heard of a Bill. See, they said it was Christensen's like Smith. So if somebody said, hey, I'm going to go babysit for Bill Smith, would you actually go do it? Or Jim? I mean, it just seems like, especially somebody you don't know, I think you'd want to meet them. It sounds so generic. Or at least we would, because we're like suspicious of that kind of stuff. Interestingly, one of Kelly's friends came forward to tell police she had also received a call from Bill Christensen. On April 18th, that was on April 18th, he asked her to babysit, but she was busy and gave him Kelly's number. This phone call was traced to the Standard Hotel bar. The staff remembered overhearing a man talking to a babysitter over the phone because he had been rude to them when he asked to use the phone. According to rumors, a man called the local school just a month before Kelly's disappearance. He wanted information on a female student that belonged to the figure skating club and had appeared in the local newspaper. I wonder if that was the friend. It is unclear if the school principal gave out the girl's contact information, but it is said that the girl who spoke to Bill on April 18th so there you go, was the figure skater. So that was the friend. That's crazy. And that definitely, at that point, brings up a, makes it a, oh, come on, don't do it. I'll have to block it. If that name you can't change your name for 30 days after you change it. No, I wouldn't say it at all. I would just block it. Yeah. Authorities also discovered that at 10 p.m. on the night of Kelly's disappearance, an operator received a call from a payphone in... let's look at this again. Okay. So the friend, that's pretty crazy right there, right? The call that went to the school a month prior was the friend that called Kelly up, or didn't call Kelly up, who talked to the man 4 days prior to the babysitting job, couldn't do it, and then told the guy, the killer, that Kelly babysits and gave him her number. That's crazy. And then, let's see, authorities also discovered that at 10 p.m. on the night of Kelly's disappearance, an operator, so this is after she was picked up, received a call from a payphone in Hussar, about 20-minute drive from Standard. The operator briefly heard a woman screaming, and the call was cut off. Authorities believe it may have been Kelly screaming. Wow. All right, let's see what that is. That's new information. Hussar. But that means he didn't really get very far. And why did the person make the call in a situation where somebody actually might be screaming? A payphone in Hussar. Oh, you know what? That's right in that 22 mile. Is that? I bet you that's the gas station. That's what they were talking about. Look at that. Remember my 22 mile arc here? That's exactly on the edge of that. And that's probably a relatively, look at that. There's a straight shot road that makes it so that it is only 22. Look at that. You get onto that one. Then boom, 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 boom. Oh, that's crazy. Look at that shit right there. Like if you get on right from Standard, you take this road right here. Oh, and watch this. This is going to be almost right at 22 kilometers. There we go. Boom. Well, that needs to go about right there. Then here. Here, and then right into the town, right there. About 23, right on the dot. Wow, look at that shit. See, this isn't one of those this one's almost a straight line, just a little couple jogs. And then she was found down here. So, you know, from here you just go boom, boom, and then down, and then right here. That's a really strange moment, though. Why would he do that? Authorities also, let me do this again. Authorities also discovered that at 10 p.m., so that's an hour and a half later, yet he's only gone 22 kilometers. Call from a payphone in Hussar, about 20-minute drive from Standard. The operator briefly heard a woman screaming, and the call was cut off. Authorities believe it may have been Kelly screaming. Well, I think they think that because there was something about the description might match. Something like that. If it was the gas station, because they mentioned that earlier. June 28, 1981, Kelly's body was found in the Chin Lake Reservoir near Tabor, Alberta, by a couple of teenagers riding motorcycles. Kelly's body had been identified through dental records as it was severely decomposed. So I don't know how they can rule out sexual assault given that fact. Reports differ on whether the cause of death was identified or not. Some claim she was asphyxiated, while others state it was impossible to determine due to decomposition. Nevertheless, Kelly was fully clothed. That doesn't mean a damn thing. And had not been sexually abused. Her being fully clothed is absolutely meaningless. If you're using that to determine if she wasn't sexually assaulted, that's just bogus. Her body had only become visible due to a drought that drastically lowered the lake's water levels. Chin Lake was dragged and searched by divers, but no more evidence was found. While Kelly's body was at a funeral home in Calgary, a man demanded to see her body. Even though he claimed to be a family friend, he was denied and eventually left. Do you guys remember what it was about the 22 kilometers? What was that part? Nope, you didn't time anybody out, Jay. Wasn't it like that he was at a gas station, perhaps, 22 miles away, or made a call or something? A phone call, right? A few months later, a young girl in Canmore, Alberta, reported receiving suspicious calls from a man seeking a babysitter. Wow, so this happened again in Canmore. Let's see where that is. It's in the same province. Oh, just right over here. Yeah, so that makes sense, and maybe that's where the girl was screaming. So that's not really that far away from here. I like to do miles because it's what we use. Yeah, it's only 100 miles away to the west there. And look at the distance from the body. It's kind of similar, so that person definitely can go that kind of distance, you know. So a few months later, young girls in Canmore, so that's multiple girls, in Canmore, Alberta, reported receiving suspicious calls from a man seeking a babysitter. They could not remember his name, but the man said he would pick them up at their house. When they turned down his offer, he always asked for another babysitter's number. Oh, man. Oh, Jesus. These calls were traced to a local payphone and were likely from Bill Christensen. Jesus. At the time, police told newspapers they were sure that the killer was from the area. They also believed the crime was planned over a period of a month or two. Though it has since been removed from Kelly's case file page on RCMP website, a sketch of Bill Christensen was released and distributed at the time. There are several people of interest in the case. Chester Keith Bordelin. In early 1981, Bordelin forced 15-year-old Michelle Allen into her car in Old Alberta, an hour and a half away from Standard. After driving around for a while looking for a hotel, Michelle escaped the car and asked someone for help. A group of people managed to keep Bordelin on the spot until the police arrived. There are no reports of what happened to him after his arrest, although it is known that he died in 2008. Well, if it was early 2001, that was before she was, and I'm sure he wouldn't have just got out for doing something like that. Well, maybe. It's Canada, right? I mean, you chop people's heads off in Canada and you're out in 5 years, so I would imagine an abduction that went awry, you're out in a day, Brown was arrested in 1983 and suggested to authorities that he had killed other people in Alberta and across Canada. At the time of Kelly's murder, he was living in Blackie, about an hour and a half from Standard. Dennis Melvin Howe. He refused to tell authorities about his other crimes. A fellow inmate stabbed Brown to death. Hey, at least they have that kind of justice over there. Dennis Melvin Howe. Howe stuffed a 9-year-old girl's body in a refrigerator after raping and murdering her. He had previously served time in prison for numerous assaults. Since 1983, he has been wanted by Toronto police. He was last seen in Manitoba. Terry Arnold. Arnold lived in Strathmore, Alberta at the time of Kelly's murder, merely 30 minutes away from Standard. His pregnant wife had just left him after he told her that he would have intercourse with their child if they had a daughter. Jesus. She ended up terminating the pregnancy due to her fear of Arnold. Wow, that's just... He is believed to have raped and murdered dozens of girls across the U.S. and Canada. Some people believe Kelly was his first victim, even though he would have only been 18 years old at the time. Moreover, one of his ex-girlfriends said they'd hang out at a skating rink in Strathmore, where the photo of the figure skater for the local newspaper is believed to have been taken. Oh boy. That's crazy. In 2005, Arnold was found dead after overdosing on drugs and alcohol in an apparent suicide. Well, there you go. That does match what they thought, right? Except that's 25 years after that. Yeah, what a... Sheesh, psychos. Anyways, that one's interesting. I think that might make a good nefarious video. Don't you think? I mean, I think there's enough in that one to have a short nefarious version. I just try to keep building these up. Cases to put on there. One. Yeah. Yeah. So that was weird, right? How those two cases were similar to two other cases that we've talked about. The babysitting as a pretense to lure a young girl to her, eventual kidnapping and death. And then the other case that I just happened to stumble upon on the side where a man and a woman are together, they get in an argument, and they've been drinking, and one of them wants to go for a walk, or, separate each other and go on her own and get home on her own, and then they get murdered by a psycho that just happened to be driving around. I mean, the fact that we have two of those makes it seem really crazy that means it's really pretty common out there. I might write that one myself. I have Stacy's actually working on the I can't remember the name of the case right now, but remember the black lady and her child that were killed, and they had the whole timeline and the route, and it was within a half hour. It's just, that one's nuts. forgot the name of that one. But I have the folder. Okay, there's this another cold case. This one's just randomly from Kentucky. That'll probably never be talked about ever, so it's really short. So I just stumbled upon it. So I'll just tell you what we do know. That's it. This is a memorial notification. So Leslie P. Sparrow. Wait, hold on a second. Let's see. I don't think this is the right one. Oh, there it is. No, actually, not sure why that's in there. Hold on a second. Yeah, I think that was that file's the wrong file right there. Don't even know why I have that one. This is Virginia Sue Emmons. I guess it's one of those things that just pops up. So here we go. Virginia Sue Emmons. Thanks, Ozo. Gold star. The death of 37-year-old Paris woman whose body was found last month in her burning house has been ruled a homicide. An autopsy revealed that Virginia Sue Emmons, a secretary receptionist at Fayette County's Castleton Farm. This is in Paris, Kentucky. And here's, let me just go to the address over here. And I'm sure it's not the same house since the house burned down, but right there. Looks like almost like a manufactured home at this point. An autopsy revealed that Virginia Sue Emmons, the secretary receptionist at Fayette County Castleton Farm, died as a result of blows to the face and head combined with smoke inhalation and carbon monoxide poisoning. Dr. John C. Hunsaker III, the Associate State Medical Examiner who performed the autopsy, decided it was a suicide because she had meth in her system. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Who performed the autopsy, I was just seeing if anybody was listening, concluded that Miss Emmons was beaten, then her bedroom was set afire as her body lay across her bed. The fire was set in an attempt to mask the murder, Hunsaker said. Though severely injured, that was a reference to the DJ Fickey case, if you're confused about what that was. Emmons was beaten, then her bedroom was set afire as her body lay across her bed. The fire was set in an attempt to mask the murder. Though severely injured, Miss Emmons was still breathing at the time of the fire, so that means she had inhaled like soot in her lungs. You know, Hunsaker said, as indicated, the presence of small amounts of smoke within her respiratory system. Okay, there you go. But we don't need to have that explanation since we already can tell by what they say. Nowhere in his 12-page autopsy report does Hunsaker speculate on what type of instrument was used to beat Mrs. Emmons. However, throughout the report, Hunsaker notes that she suffered numerous skull fractures and that she was missing several teeth, some of which were found in her throat. Jesus. God. Miss Emmons' body was found in the pre-dawn hours of June 4th by firefighters who had been called to battle a blaze at her home at 1904 Yorktown Drive. The fire was confined to Mrs. Emmons' bedroom. Okay, so maybe that's the same house. Though much of the one-story house received smoke and water damage, The body was burned beyond recognition, said Bourbon County Coroner Philip Hutchinson. Miss Emmons, who was divorced in 1979, and this is 1983, so not likely related to that, had worked at Castleton, a leading standard bred farm since, must be for horses, I guess, I don't know. Hunsaker said no drugs other than caffeine were detected in the victim's blood. Neither of Mrs. Edmonds' children, a son Bradley, 14, and daughter Tamara, 12, was at home at the time of the fire. See, I think that's interesting, because that person must have known. Miss Emmons' death is being investigated by Kentucky State Police. From the Dry Ridge Post, Detective Robert Duffy, who is heading the investigation, is on vacation and was unavailable. However, Trooper Jim Dolwick, spokesman for the Dry Ridge Post, said no arrest has been made. The exact cause of the fire has not been determined, but state police have conducted tests to determine whether an accelerant such as gasoline was used. I think what happened here is they found her burned, then the autopsy showed she was beaten severely, and then they determined, well, then the fire was meant to cover it up, but they're struggling to actually, determine exactly how that was started, but they know it was started. It's not like nobody commits suicide that way. Hey, let me bash my face in with a hammer and then I'll light something on fire. Okay, an autopsy on the body of Castleton Farm. This is a day later. Employees showed she had been beaten before her house was set afire. The body of Virginia Sue Emmons, a secretary and receptionist at the famous Standardbred Farm near Lexington, was found inside her burning house. Miss Emmons, a divorcee, died from blows to the face and head, smoke inhalation, and carbon monoxide poisoning. Dr. John C. Hunsaker III said in a 12-page report. Okay. Miss Emmons' body was burned beyond recognition. Let's see. Hunsaker report noted that Miss Emmons suffered numerous skull fractures and that several of her teeth were knocked out. I think that part's similar to the last article. Trooper Jim Dolwick. There's been no arrest in the case. Okay. So anyways, that's it. Didn't that suck? That's all there ever was on that one. She was in that house, beaten almost to death, probably knocked out, put on the bed, an accelerant put in the room, and while her body was still alive, and she may have survived the beating, she died of smoke inhalation and carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, you guys, that's it. Thanks, Scott Holland. Been on here for 2.5 hours. It's not too bad. Yeah, these cases, some of these unsolved ones are just mind-boggling. I mean, what was the point? What was the purpose of this one? I mean, one thing I noticed, they didn't mention anything about the time of day. Well, let's see. Hold on. What is this one? Yeah, there's no time of day or anything. And see, this article is actually a month after she was found, too. There's nothing when she was found. So, anyways, that is it. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you listening to my opinions on these cases, and hell, sometimes the political stuff that bugs the hell out of me all the time. I think the only way our country is going to get back to any sort of normalcy is for You know, for politicians to stop being hypocritical and for people to see things for how they actually are, not for how you want them to be because you're on a certain side. Okay? Thanks. Zozo. And I think it's, you know, I mean, it's hard for me to say, but, you know, obviously both sides have to try to work with the other side. I mean, it pains me because I really almost don't agree with anything at this point. We're so separate. But that's the only thing to do it, and then eventually we'll sort of become more people in the middle again. Because right now it's a joke. That's right, good old Blazers. They won tonight.
Go Blazers. Thank you, Gray. Smiley face.
You know, the Blazers, they scored 47 points in the second quarter. And that was the second most points in a quarter in the history of the Blazers. And you got to just picture how many 82 games, at least, let's say 90 game average. Or not 90, 85 game a year average with 4 quarters a year. And they've been in the league since 1976. So 1970, excuse me. So for 51 years. That's a lot of quarters. I actually know, believe it or not, the other quarter, I was watching the game. It was the 49-19 quarter the Blazers had against the San Antonio Spurs when they had David Robinson, Rod Strickland, all the great players they had. We outscored them 49-19 in the first quarter of that game. And now when you hear that, you go, oh my God, what was the final score? Well, we just squeaked out the win. I mean, it was like the whole rest of the game after that first quarter was them whittling away until we just barely won at the end. But we had a 30-point lead after the first quarter. Thank you, Shelley Wagner. Yeah. But here's the thing is, I don't know how I some of the stuff that people want on the left, it's something that I'm not willing to accept, though. You know, that's the problem. You know, when you start raising taxes on everybody, you start putting tons of regulations in again, doing job killing type things. It's just, how do you go, okay, we'll compromise. Let's tax the hell out of corporations. You know, it sounds really neat to say that all the time. Hey, let's tax corporations. You know, like it's really progressive and just so thoughtful, and it's not. So, anyways. Let me get to this. I thought that was a really interesting story, the one out of Canada. The Cook case. I don't know when he wants lockdown. Biden's just, he's a fool, okay? I'm sorry, everybody. Just listen to what he said today. Did absolutely nothing to help anybody. It was horrible. He tried to demonize an entire the other 75 million people that didn't vote for him. He was absolutely disgusting towards them. Okay, and you might listen to it if you're on his side and try to spin it in your own brain differently, but everybody who heard it could not believe he would do that when he's talking about everybody healing. He's an idiot, okay? And that's just the truth. So I don't know how we're going to fix it because I think he's an idiot. Yep, no problem. Where is the... Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, they want to add 2 senators out of D.C. so they can lock in controlling the Senate. Maybe Joe Manchin would vote against something like that. He says he's going to vote against court packing. And it really comes down. Joe Manchin, I guess he doesn't have a very good record of voting with Republicans when he's the deciding vote. So he has said twice now that he will not vote for expanding the Supreme Court. So if he doesn't do that, I think he'll lose his next election because he'll have broken a promise that he made. Yeah, I think it's true. I think I said last night on my show, the left, people on the left don't believe it. They don't. They just, their minds aren't capable of believing the fact that they are responsible for a lot of how people think on the right and why they're so angry. They need to look in the mirror and see how they treated. Every single night on the news, the president that they supported, you trashed into oblivion, and you called their supporters racist, xenophobes, and called them every name out of the sun. And now you want them to all come together and believe everything that you're saying? Yeah, it's not going to happen. So the only way to start going is to admit. Just like Biden said one time when he was talking about, he did a speech, I think it was about the Serbian people. He says they need to look at themselves in the mirror or something like that to know what they have done wrong for healing to begin. And he needs to be doing the same damn thing. He's a joke, okay? CNN should be banned from doing media whatsoever. But they're the absolute heroes, Oh yeah, they were always right. Yeah, full. What a bunch of shit. I don't know what you're talking about, Rebecca. I didn't say anything about anything that you just said. Doesn't matter what state I live in. Yeah. No, it's like that. I don't even watch local television. Okay? I'm talking about the national media, the National Democratic Party spent 4 years denigrating and trying to demonize everybody on the right who voted for Trump. Okay? And they tried to get him out of office even before he got into office. Okay? That's an absolute truth. And it was fake. They keep saying that Trump is filled with conspiracy theories and all this stuff. He might believe in some. But CNN was a conspiracy theorist for the entire 4 years. That's all they did. It was lies and fake shit to spin a narrative that actually had ramifications that led to what happened in the election. What Donald Trump did for our economy and everything like that was great, and he got the vaccine completed, okay? You might not have liked that he didn't suggest wearing masks more often, that kind of thing. He kept the stock market high, and he got the vaccines done in record time. Okay? However, CNN can't do that. They got to point out every single flaw and magnify it by 1,000, and then everybody hates him and he did a terrible job. It's just really, and then he acts strangely because that's all he gets every single day. It sucks. Yeah, CNN isn't going to have any topics because they won't be able to invent something. You know what would be cool is if Trump just disappeared, didn't say a word for a year or so, and that's it. So they'd have nothing because what they want is Trump to keep talking, then he can keep sort of associating Trump. And the CNN talked about Trump 24/7 every single day for 4 years. You could be talking about a dog show, and somehow Trump's name would be brought into it. Yeah, I mean, it was just insane. Oh yeah, You know, I've got a pit bull at home. Some say I should name him Trump because of all the, you know, fill in the blank. You know, it's just... Yeah, so you kind of wonder what they're going to cover at this point. Ugh, God. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. I don't know what that means, Rebecca. Having a hard time understanding some of that stuff. Yeah, I've said it 1,000 times, Rebecca. I'm talking about the media and the Democratic politicians. The people who believed CNN and MSNBC are just sort of like the lemmings who follow along and believe this whole mantra all these years, okay? That's the thing. That's the part that I don't like, is they watch it and they go, oh yeah, wow, and then they tell their friends, and that's all they believe. And when you go to like a family function with one of the hard lefties in there, everything they say out of their mouth is right out of the propaganda reel on CNN. Okay? And I always say, listen, I watch CNN, but I also watch Fox News. You ever, you know, so if you want both sides of a story, you got to watch or read even, you know, like the Wall Street Journal and then some other crappy... I don't know, man. You do what the hell you want. I'm just saying, if you believed what CNN was saying, there's something wrong with your brain. That's the truth. Yeah, I'm always talking about politicians. I think there's a lot of Democrats out there that they're just Democrats, so of course they're going to vote for Biden. But maybe they don't really like Biden, they just really hate Trump. Right, so maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah. You gotta forget it, man. I'm just so tired of the whole thing. I'm so frustrated. So, anyways, I'm gonna get the hell out of here and let's do the... Oh, wow, that was loud.
Alright, thank you to Chrissy, Scott Holland, Kit Kat, Elizabeth Capote, Kate S, Chad Bobinger,
No, good. Yikes, Gray's mad now. Ooh, ooh.
Jesus. I never said I was mad. I just don't want to talk about it anymore. I hate the entire idiotic, just... There's a lot of moronic people out there, okay? That's what I don't like. All right, so here we go.
Chad Bobinger, Carly Levine, Lee D, Jay Case, Jessica Schubach, Lee D, Zoso, J.D. McLaughlin, Carolina T, Rebecca N, Zozo, Scott Holland, Shelley Wagner, oh, and Marine Co. on PayPal.
All right, thanks. Yeah. That's just a sound effect, by the way. So anyways, thank you guys very much. And I I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll do a put the freaks wearing stuff on here. Make sure that you wear a mask, maintain your social distancing, wash your hands. And for those of you who aren't, paranoid about the vaccine, you should take it the second they offer it to you. Okay? I put a post on in the community section of my YouTube channel of an email sent to me by the University of Washington about the vaccines, and it describes kind of how they work. And when you read that, you should look at it and go, oh, okay, cool. And then you'll go, the conspiracy wackos are the ones that say, well, what aren't they telling you? Okay, just read the damn thing. If you get offered a vaccine and you're not a conspiracy person, take it. It will absolutely make a difference to shortening the length of this damn pandemic. It might be something that we have to take every year, but hopefully if the vaccine lasts for more than 4 or 5 months and it comes back and the vaccine still works on the same virus, then that sucker is going to go away. Okay? So, yeah, exactly. Vax my eyeballs. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Yeah, so what are they saying about that, Jay? Are there any studies out there that say how long it lasts? I mean, I don't even think they would know yet, right? Has anybody that took the vaccine in the trials got COVID way later, and then it was determined, oh wow, it wore off? Okay. Or can they just do like a blood test and say, nope, they still got the antibodies in there? Right. Yeah, you don't have polio. Thank you, science. Yeah, exactly. Although what's been going on is there's been a lot of what do you call it? Diseases that were wiped out that sometimes come back in from countries that we eradicated it here, but come in from like third world countries that don't have the same vaccination programs. I wonder how vaccines became so conspiracy oriented by so many people. It's weird. It's strange. I mean, I know a lot of it comes from people that have kids that have autism, and they believe that the shots created it. There hasn't really been anything near a conclusive study on anything like that. Right, internet. Oh, really? Wow. I've never had a booster shot for measles or any of those kind of things. I don't get the one. I don't want to get the tetanus one. Oh, that one hurts like hell.
Gray, you're such a baby.
I know. I don't like shots. Yeah. The last time I got my flu shot, I think the lady was intentionally... You're supposed to just put it in really quick. Ding, doom, you're out. You don't even feel it. This lady put it in there and was like wiggling around. The freaking needle was in there for like 30 seconds, it seemed like. She just sucked at it. The pharmacists, they're great at giving shots, man. They go, ding. Like, I didn't... The 2 flu shots I got prior to this one, I never felt a thing when I got the shot. Other than later, my arm was a little bit sore. You got the shot, right, Jay? Yeah, you're probably right, Ketter. I think it's just sort of something that commonly... There's more people now, too, My sister-in-law got meningitis. They knew what it was quick enough. They guessed, and they gave her antibiotics really quickly, and she survived it. Oh, you can't discuss it? Man. Yeah, I mean, every doctor should be taking, every doctor and nurse should already have something by now. I think that's sort of well known. Hey, thanks, Sarita. Yeah. All right. Anyways, I'm gonna get off of here. Hopefully, things will start calming down out here. The rhetoric and everything. I doubt it, but I think right now the Democratic Party is looking out for blood. They're trying to cancel all kinds of different people. They're going after anybody that supported Trump at all. And it's turning into a nightmare. I hope all of you on the left that watch here and you start seeing some of that stuff, you should push back vigorously, because it's not fair, it's not right, and people shouldn't be doing shit like that. It's actually disgusting. Hey, but thank you, Sarita. Yeah. No, it's really crazy. You should go see what's going on out there. Unbelievable. I think that's a new one. I don't think I've seen that one before, Sarita. This video contains some...
When I'm in the mood, I sprinkle cool on my food, but I don't eat it. I chew it up and spit it out and repeat it. Trying to do that by memory. In the mood, I sprinkle troll on my food, but I don't eat it. I chew it up and spit it out and repeat it. It's not a treat, the troll is beat. Just one of the ways that I defeat it. Staying in my groove. When there's a troll on the move, just takes a second to remove, 'cause every time I conclude, the troll is gonna lose. Hey, nice try, lizard eye. I see you creeping on the sly. Why do you think you're so fly when you just a whiny cry? Battle me, you're gonna fry. Gonna send you out to mummify. Out to mummify? Oh, that's bullshit, Jay.
That's ludicrous, Jay. That one right there, that's ridiculous. You gotta be kidding me. No, you need to get it because you're exposed way more than everybody else. Jesus Christ. Gives a shit what those other people think. They're idiots.
down and repeat it. These better tree trolls beat. These are the ways that I defeat it. Here we go.
Wow, what happened there? You sound like a record player that was sped up.
Well, I wasn't trying to sound like that. Everybody, I'm gonna get out of here. See you guys later.